Octopath Traveler 2 is finally here. That little JRPG that we loved so much in 2018 finally has a sequel. Now, I would definitely consider the original Octopath Traveler to be a groundbreaking JRPG, not only because it was the game that introduced the HD 2D graphical style, but also because it really proved that people really want this sort of game. I am one of those people. This style is my jam and reminds me of what I loved about my JRPGs so much in the past, while giving me the quality of life features I would expect from a modern game. Obviously, playing Octopath 2 was a no-brainer for me, but the question is, did it live up to my expectations? Well, yeah, it definitely did, but did it exceed them? Nope. Octopath 2 plays things very safe and provides an almost identical experience to the original in the series. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I was left wanting a little more innovation and evolution. Before we get into the review, if you liked this video, it would help me out a lot to hit that like button and sub for more JRPG content. I'd also like to thank the publishers for the review code, and all footage that you see is taken from the PS5 version of the game. Did you like Octopath Traveler 2? Do you plan to play it in the future? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, let's get into it. It's really hard to argue that Octopath Traveler 2 doesn't look amazing. The original title popularized this HD 2D style, and since then it has been great to see this style in other JRPGs. This time around, the developers seem to have tweaked the graphics for the better. Objects seem more refined with a little less blur. This makes exploring the world an absolute treat. There are loads of different environment types, with each area and city having its own distinct look and feel. This atmosphere is complemented by an awesome soundtrack by returning composer Yasunori Nishiki. Add this to a strong cast of voice actors and some great character artwork, and you have a top tier game in terms of the presentation, but honestly, I would expect no less. If you haven't put 2 and 2 together yet, Octopath Traveler is called Octopath Traveler for a reason. There are 8 paths that you can travel through. At the start of the game, you can select a character to begin your journey with. I chose the assassin Throne because she's hot and loves to kill things, which is totally my style. After you complete the first chapter with your chosen character, you are free to progress through the rest of the game however you'd like. Just keep in mind that your chosen character is locked into your party for the rest of the game. The other characters will need to be manually placed in your party when you want to experience their stories. The way that you choose to progress the narrative is entirely up to you. You can choose to play out your chosen character's chapters from start to finish, or you can choose to progress through other characters' stories along the way. You're probably going to want to do the latter though, since bosses and enemies in each character's later chapters will be very difficult unless you're at the recommended level. What you do and when you do it is entirely up to you, and this is one of the things that makes Octopath Traveler 2 so much fun. Now, each of the 8 characters are very unique in their stories, their combat abilities, and their path actions. These individual character stories were a highlight of the game for me. Some of them are light-hearted and fun, while others are quite dark and heavy in their themes. And while some of these stories are not as interesting as others, overall I found them to be well written and quite engaging. And I'll tell you what, it is a good thing that they are engaging, since you're essentially going to be doing 8 introduction tutorial chapters with level 1 characters, which are each about an hour long. Now, these are optional, but I can't see why you'd want to skip them, since they do a great job in introducing the character's story as well as their unique gameplay mechanics. But with all this praise comes my biggest issue with the game, and that is the interactions between the characters. Now, I remember better character interactions being a promotional point in Octopath 2, but in this regard, I was very disappointed. The characters still feel so distant from one another. When you meet a character for the first time, all you get is a brief recruitment scene. All the other 7 characters were just totally cool with joining up with me on my journey. It doesn't matter that I'm an assassin that kills people for a living, they still want to join me. After the recruitment, the interaction is minimal. Like in the original game, there are optional one-on-one conversations, and this reminds me a bit of the skits from the Tales series. Unfortunately, these are not voiced, which was very disappointing. Octopath 2's only real attempt to improve on this character interaction is with the crossed paths. These are optional side missions which unfortunately don't add anything to the overall story. Yes, it's better than nothing, but for me it was still not enough. There was a massive opportunity for Octopath 2 to right the wrongs of the past and move forward with its storytelling, but unfortunately, it did not. I mean, I just keep thinking about how mind-blowing 13 Sentinels was with its multiple character storytelling. Something on this level, or even half of this level, would be amazing. Each of the 8 characters have their own unique ways to interact with other NPCs in the world, and these are called path actions. Oswald, for instance, can use Scrutinize to find out more about NPCs and possibly unlock benefits such as cheaper prices at the inn, which is a pretty bloody useless benefit. My girl Throne, on the other hand, can steal from anyone, which is a lot of fun and is almost entirely necessary since you can get some amazing equipment for free. Now, everyone loves free stuff, but if you really love something, you should support it, such as my Patreon, which would totally have been a plug if I actually had a Patreon. Anyway, these path actions also change depending on the time of day. Back to Throne, for example, in the day she can steal, but at night she can ambush NPCs, knocking them out, which allows you to pass through areas that they may have been blocking. Oh, and no one really seems to care about casually KOing everyone in town. That's all good in Octoworld. So, while there are a massive 16 path actions, 8 in the day and 8 at night with each character, their purposes all fall under 4 categories: obtaining an item, recruiting an ally, acquiring access to somewhere, or acquiring information. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing, as it means you don't need to be constantly switching party members in and out when dealing with these NPCs. And if you're wondering, yes, you can switch between day and night at any time with the press of a button, and I am thankful for this feature, not only for the ease of using day or night path actions, but also because of how beautiful things look at night. Octopath 2's combat is very similar to the original game, so if you've played it, you know what you're in for. The defining mechanic here is breaking an enemy's shield by hitting their weaknesses a certain number of times, then letting loose. Massive damage can be done by attacking a broken enemy with boosted abilities. Each turn, you will acquire 1 BP up to a maximum of 5, and managing these boost points is the key to success. Now, each of the 8 characters play very differently to one another with their own set of unique abilities. Oshat, for example, can not only use her hunting skills, but also capture weakened monsters that can be summoned in future battles. Casti, on the other hand, is an apothecary who can combine items in battle for a range of benefits. If this all sounds familiar to you, that's because it is. Each of these characters' jobs plays very similarly to those in Octopath 1. Something new, however, is latent powers, and these are also unique to each character. These can be used once the gauge is full through meeting various conditions in battle, such as receiving damage. They offer a range of benefits, from being able to act twice to focusing your multi-targeted magic spells onto a single enemy. I am all in favor of this addition as it gives something else to manage in battle. Overall, the combat here is awesome, almost the exact same level of awesome as the original, because, well, it pretty much is the exact same. In terms of difficulty, Octopath 2 will range from incredibly easy to surprisingly brutal. This all depends on when you choose to do which chapter. What I mean is, you could work your way through the first 3 chapters of Throne's story with a powerful level 30 party. This could very well be challenging, but then upon going back to other characters' first or second chapters, things will become an absolute breeze, as 3 out of 4 of your characters will be so over leveled. This makes the combat for a good portion of the game totally mindless, and I feel that this is a bit of a weakness of the series as a whole. The major way to increase your character's strength is through their equipment. You will constantly be finding new gear and switching them in the equipment screen. This will usually be done by finding them in shops, or because I'm a bloody thief, stealing them off the innocent. Yeah, don't be surprised if the most innocent looking kid has the strongest sword you've ever seen in your life. In addition to EXP, you will also get JP in battle to spend on new job skills. These can be unlocked in any order and will simultaneously unlock a job's passive skills. Furthermore, a secondary job can be equipped to each character once their guilds are found hidden around the world. These secondary jobs allow for some pretty crazy job combinations such as dancing thieves or scholar merchants. This is all well and good, but as I've said a million times so far, there really isn't anything new here from the first game. Octopath Traveler 2 is a very good game. In fact, all of the little additions here and there make it an overall better experience than the original. The game looks stunning and sounds great, and the aesthetic style is something I will never get sick of. For the most part, the stories were also very interesting, full of great moments, but unfortunately, my expectations here were not met. I wanted and expected the tales to weave together much better than they actually did. The turn-based combat was also a lot of fun and had some really challenging boss battles when I wasn't over-leveled. I honestly really do like just about everything Octopath Traveler 2 does, but the fact remains, it's essentially the same game as the original and I wanted more innovation. Octopath 2 plays it way too safe, and while the new additions are welcomed, every step of the way I was reminded that I've been there, done that. What did you think of Octopath Traveler 2? Do you agree with what I said? Let me know in the comments below. This was Hellfire RPGs, thanks for watching. If you liked this, hit that like button and sub for more RPG content coming soon. See you next time.